Hey guys, it's Selwen here. So if you weren't aware, a few hours ago, Inaz Acostas, or Watcher, the game's director, went on Reddit to talk a little bit with the community in a form of an AMA. Ask Me Anything, to somewhat break the communication barrier that we had with Blizzard for the past few months, something that was recognized, and hopefully put some sense in our worries, criticisms, and even feedback of the various systems like the Azurite Armor, Island Expeditions, class design, warfronts, and more. I've placed a link to all the complete answers if you want to check it out for yourself, but here I'm just gonna do a quickish summary of those same answers as they are quite extensive, and basically put in my 2 cents. So let's start with Azurite Armor, big point of criticism towards Battle for Azeroth, and I don't think there needs to be much of an introduction. So the biggest points and criticisms throughout the community have been how underwhelming the traits feel in terms of effects with barely any gameplay influences, their power differences between traits and even other Azurite pieces, sometimes even making a higher item level piece worse than a lower one because of a specific trait, and of course, how we are forced to go on a treadmill grinding all of that AP and various pieces only to obtain the same powers we had before. Some of these were explained on what is the general idea with them, others seems it's here to stay. So basically the difference in trait powers right now is something that they will be looking to tune in the future, so expect some nerfs on the most powerful traits and buffs on the weaker ones. This will be both good and bad because for the people that already have the most powerful traits right now will be forced to go on the grind for different pieces. As for Azurite Armor itself, item level should be a clear indicator that this gear piece is clearly better than another, no matter the trait, which once again falls to the tuning problem with specific traits. So the idea will be to tune them to a point that will always be worth to equip a higher item level piece no matter what. If that will be achievable, well, we shall see. Now, what's most interesting is that they agree that some traits are not working too well, and that they are indeed looking at removing some traits that aren't that interesting in the future and bring forth some new ones, hopefully more engaging, as they agree that the most fun and engaging traits, gameplay-wise, need to be brought to the forefront a bit more. Plus, as content keeps rolling out with new tiers of content, they are indeed looking to add ever more traits, which was what I was always curious about on what they were planning to do with traits with each tier. Well, it seems it will just be new ones to get. That will have its own set of problems and challenges, but that's so long to get into now. Another part of the issue covered was the beta feedback about the traits and lack of response on their part. The explanation was that beta doesn't really show the real picture, and when it gets to live is when they can do the real tuning. So beta is live memes confirmed, but putting jokes aside, yes, it does make sense, but at the same time I think there was a lot of clear feedback back in the beta. But hey, as for the repetitive grind for the same traits but just slightly more powerful, well, that seems to be staying, and how the catch-up mechanism will help, which does but doesn't fix the underlying issue. In short, it seems the goal is just to tune traits in a more fair way, make them more interesting gameplay wise, and even remove some which are not working all that well. I'll take that, but we'll have to see with time. One thing is saying, other is actually acting upon it and making it work, because it is indeed quite challenging. Now let's move on to class design, specifically Shamans, as that was the question picked up. In short, the Shaman concerns have stayed the same since beta. Their numbers aren't all that great, gameplay wise is also not performing as it should, almost feeling like an incomplete class across all specs, which sadly made Shamans to be extremely disappointed with Blizzard. Now these concerns were somewhat answered, but not much has been said before, such as tuning is yet to come, but there will be bigger changes for abilities and talents in a bigger patch, probably 8.1, to try and fix or complete the poor Shaman specs of Elemental and Enhancement. The remainder of the answer comes down to that they want every spec to have its niche, and even though it might have certain tools missing, it will have other interesting ones to make up. Probably an answer that all of you Shamans out there are used to hearing, but in the end it was said it comes down to really communicating the path they want a certain class to take and what niches they should fill. Let's take that as you will. Not much further was added in terms of class design, which honestly was a bit disappointing. Besides, yeah, changes to the Shamans, Shadow Priests and Feral are coming sometime in the future, but we kinda already knew that. Now we get to the island expeditions, which, like the traits, much criticisms were answered, such as how repetitive they feel and they are just a form of AP grinds to just get in and leave as quickly as possible. Well, first of all, a hotfix was announced to increase the rate of which pets, mounts and toys drop, which is great, but also they have plans to add more interesting things to island expeditions, like more locations and mechanics, hopefully some coming back from beta, which I still have no idea why they were removed, because in beta you could visit different areas, a lot of random events besides the big Azurite Elemental, and now that's gone for some reason, so they are indeed looking to add more randomized things in the island expeditions and further improve the system. Will that be enough? Well, we shall see. As for Warfronts, was another topic touched upon, mostly to explain exactly how they work, which I sort of did in my last video, so I'm not gonna over that now, but basically it was explained why the cycle is so long, is mostly to make the other pieces of content not as obsolete like regular Mythic dungeons, which is fair enough, and it was also said future Warfronts will fill in the gaps between Warfront timers, which is also another topic I talked about in my previous video. As for its gameplay, nothing was really discussed, sadly. Now, the Mythic Plus cache was another hot topic of the week, and here it was further explained on why the rollback on the chance at 3 items to 1 from beta. In short, it was said that the chance of 3 items felt like it was too much RNG, as the difference between one player that just caught one weapon to another which caught an Azurite piece, weapon and piece of gear was huge, and that the system was in place as a sort of bad luck protection against not getting Azurite Armor, because remember, they only come in the weekly cache. That said, it was said that there is a bad luck protection in place even now, with just 1 item drop, that for each week you don't get an Azurite Armor, your chance increases by each passing week, which is nice, but I still think a more fair system would be to have a regular item drop with a chance of Azurite Armor, much like legendaries worked in Legion. The other concerns with the system are with getting the specific Azurite piece that you need with the right traits. Here was just that it comes down to the tuning to not make you chase after specific traits and not make that weekly chest reward so frustrating to get, but let's be honest, there will always be a best trait, right? They're never gonna be equal, so you always gonna be chasing after that specific 1 or 2 or 3, and if all that you do is Mythic Plus and your only chance of Azurite Armor is weekly, yeah, it will always be a bit frustrating, and I don't think any tuning can fix this. And remember, 3 pieces, 3 on just weekly lockouts. Yeah. Catch-up mechanisms was also discussed. For any of you like myself have any sort of alts, you will see that getting Champions of Azeroth all over again to be a huge chore. Thankfully, there will be a catch-up system in a future patch. As for anything else, there isn't any other plans. But speaking of which, the Paragon system of reputations will be back sometime in the future. If you don't know what that is, was just the extra reputation that you could get after hitting Exalted in Legion that would offer some other rewards like mounts and other random stuff. And yeah, I think this pretty much covers the main topics I wanted to talk about. There's others about Mythic rating race, especially with the fetid Devourer issue, which I didn't really feel qualified to talk about, so I'll leave that up for you guys to read. And there's also one about the necessity of steaming and itemization, and all of that kind of falls to the first issue, which we talked about with Azurite Armor and traits, so there's nothing really to add. There was also another answering the issues about time gating content, which you have to take as you will. It's a very vague answer. Professions are also briefly mentioned, but not a huge deal. And finally, there was one about the actual expansion development, basically about why Battle for Azeroth has seen far more bugs and issues than, say, Legion, like them almost laughable bug with the Ventus runes and Gahoon typo, and in short, is only talking about how daunting games development is, which is completely understandable, and there's always too much for the team of developers to handle, but also came down to, at least the way I saw it or understood it, they want faster content to come out for us to play, and that's one of their main goals. And with that, there might be a few more issues let's put it like that. But again, that's the way I saw it. And as a living note, it was announced that the 8.1 content patch will be coming to the PTR very soon, with a live stream on September the 18th. So yeah. Overall, do let me know what you all think about this, be any of these topics, and remember to check the link, because it is a quite an interesting AMA, some bits might have passed by me, and what's really cool of Blizzard to do this. As always, thank you for watching, remember to subscribe and like to get more videos like this, and check out my Patreon if you wish to support the channel. Have a fantastic day everyone, and I'll see you all next time. See ya! And lastly, the B mount seems to be confirmed. Yeah.